Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm good. So today I decided that a good topic was faith. Going through the spiritual awakening, uh, faith is something that is often addressed, but not as much as it should be. So for me, when I started going through my spiritual awakening, I started thinking that things were going to happen like The Matrix and like Lucy. You seen the movie Lucy, right? Lucy is awesome. And while we as humans, I believe, we do possess those powers and those abilities, all of them don't come at once. And rightfully, they should not, right? Because if some of those things were able to happen, we'd be some terrible people. We need to kind of have some temperance and some love. So I was, kind of fussing with my higher self, saying, I don't understand. Why can't I do this and why can't I do that? And when is this going to come? And why are my finances improving? And why aren't these things going this way? And I was told faith. You have to have faith, right? And with faith comes patience. They don't tell you that. They just say, have faith and believe and then it'll all work out. No. Have faith, and with faith is patience. Being patient, it's almost like a baby learning to walk, right? So when you're a baby, you probably, some of you may or may not remember, but at, you didn't come out of the womb walking, although you can walk and you could walk then. You just didn't know really how to exercise those muscles and to coordinate it so that you could, right? But of course, you had legs, of course, you had a brain, you had the ability to walk. You just didn't do it yet, right? So I liken my spiritual awakening to that, to knowing that you have those powers. You just don't necessarily know how to use them. And because you don't know how to use them, it takes a little bit of practice. It's not that you won't be proficient at it, because once you stood up and bounced around, on the table and used hands and guided, you started walking and you walk pretty good. Some of us fall down every now and then, especially if you're like me, a little clumsy. But nonetheless, you can walk. And not only can you walk, you can jump, you can run, you can hop, you can skip. You can do a myriad of things that when you first came out of the womb, you didn't realize you could do, right? You, when first born, could barely hold your head up. At this point, you don't have any problem holding your head up. You can turn it over, turn it around. You don't have any problem rolling over. Well, some of us, but not because we can't, right? So your spiritual awakening, in my opinion, is like that. Um, and as a baby, you didn't think, well, dang, when am I going to walk? I'm not going to be able to do this because I can't do it now. Or when am I going to be able to turn over? I can't do this. No, you just were patient. You waited for those to assist you who could. They came and they fed you and changed your clothes and, made sure that you were comfortable and well. And in time, you were able to do those things for yourself, right? But you weren't constantly fussing, well, I can't walk. I can't walk. No, you just crawled. You maintained and you were patient because that's what you knew, right? You knew to be patient. We become jaded with the world. And in that process, all of a sudden, we think, well, I've awakened now and I know that I'm one. And where are my powers? Why can't I do this? Well, you can. You can. But there is some temperance with patience needed. And I say temperance because think about it. Even when you first become spiritually awakened, did you lose your temper automatically? Because I still got a hell of a one. I mean, I am much more able to control my emotions and much more able to handle my thoughts. And they have definitely elevated, right? At one point in time, you ticked me off, and I remember saying, I didn't put my hands on you, things like that. Or thinking when your child did something wrong, he's got to get a spanking, right? So I think that our higher self says, hold on, let me help you. Let me help you to learn how to love, to not just love everything around you, but to love you. Because once you love you, then you realize, well, that person over there doing that thing that probably would have gotten on your nerves is not doing it to get on your nerves. They're doing it because they're trying to exercise something in themselves, an exercise, not exorcise, not, some demonic possession. Exercise and a physical activity. They are trying to physically do something, to accomplish something. And in their desire to physically accomplish that thing, you may have gotten in the way. It's like being a kid, and I liken a lot of things in this spiritual awakening to being a kid. It's like being a kid in the kitchen with your mom, or being in the house with your mom, and she's moving around, busy and cleaning, and she doesn't realize that you're up underfoot. And she steps back and she steps on your toes or steps on you. She didn't do that to hurt you. She was doing something to further her physical goal, which might have been cleaning, which might have been dancing, watching the TV, whatever it was, right? It was something she was doing physically, and you happened to unknowingly get in the way. Well, your higher self is smart, and it says, I'm not going to give you all of that just yet, because there may be some people who physically get in the way, and because you're not aware of the power you possess, you could cause them harm, stepping on their toes, right? You can back them up. I remember my grandmother teaching my brother and I how to cook. She tried to teach my brother to cook hamburgers. She was doing something very lovingly, trying to teach him to cook hamburgers. He wanted to help. She pulled a chair up to the stove and scooted him up into the chair, because, of course, he wasn't big enough to see up to the stove. And she let him make the patty and the hamburger, and got the pan, the cast iron skillet, hot as I don't know what. And then she said, okay, put it in there. And like a kid, he threw it in there. And when he threw it in there, of course, the grease splashed back up and burned him, right? Because he didn't know. He wasn't aware to not throw it in there. She wasn't aware that he was going to throw it. She thought, well, I'll place it in there because that's what I do, that he was going to do that. But being a child and not knowing, right, how to do that, how to yield that power to cook, he threw it. He was like, that thing hot, I don't want to touch it. So I'm not getting ready to place this in here, not knowing that you just gently put the hamburger into the pan, right? That again is like our spiritual awakening. You just have to realize that there are some things that you can do. You really can. You just haven't exercised that muscle yet enough. And your higher self is kind of guiding you away from exercising it so much, because you may unknowingly hurt yourself, right? So all that is to say, you have to be patient. Patient with you, patient with your higher self, just as you were when you were a child. When you were a child and you were learning to walk, and as my brother learned to cook, he didn't stop cooking. He's 45. He cooks hamburgers all the time, without any problem. It doesn't burn anything or anyone. But that was an exercise in learning how to do that, right? And you will have plenty of exercises, just like when you were learning to walk. Someone stood you up and bounced you, and then they put you in a walker, or they held your little fingers and you walked on with them holding your fingers, right? You'll have plenty of opportunity to learn how to do that. Give yourself grace and mercy, and have faith. Faith that it's all going to work out, because it will. I love you, and so does God. Amen.